guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. My name is Nick.
I'm Ian.
And on today's show, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite records that we physically own, because they're not necessarily like the five I grabbed. They're not necessarily like my favorite five albums. They're just the favorite five that I have. Makes sense?
Me, it's the albums that I was super excited when I got them. It's like, wow, I got this on vinyl. Yeah,
that makes sense. But you want to start with one there, Ian?
Sure. I will start with Counting Crows, Recovering the Satellites. This is an original pressing.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I have it also, but I got the repressing.
You got the repressing, and I've debated because the repressing, they actually repressed it on colored vinyl. But I actually picked this up in like 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
I just happened to be at the record store. Now, I wasn't really collecting vinyl at the time, so when I saw this, I was like, I didn't even know this was released on vinyl, and I bought it just as a novelty, basically.
Yeah.
But it was like, I got a little stiffy over it.
What's the cut corner for? Is that is it a promo copy or?
Yeah, I think so. They used to do this with CDs too. They'd cut or saw like a little slice in the side of the CD, so that you knew it was used. It was a resell.
I got you.
So I don't think it may be a promotional copy. It doesn't say anything about it being promotional, but it is an original pressing.
Where'd you pick it up from?
Encore Records in Ann Arbor. So yeah, it's like I said, I bought it mainly because it's probably my favorite Counting Crows album.
I'm probably right there with you. It's a fantastic album.
It's from start to finish fantastic. And it was just like I said, I bought it as a novelty, and then once I started collecting vinyl, I obviously still had it in my collection, and so Recovering the Satellites, 1996.
Cool. Mm-hmm. The first one I'm gonna toss out here is it's an album that I've wanted since I was probably not too long after it came out. So I was probably 8 or 9 years old the first time I saw this in a store, and I've wanted it for a long time. And it's always been, granted, when I was younger, I could have easily bought it for, between $30 and $40. And obviously when I was a kid, it's a lot of freaking money then. And over the years, the copies I have seen are way more than I've wanted to pay for it. And I ended up getting this off of eBay, I think it was, which eBay is not it's not a place I like to buy records from very often, because you don't always know what you're looking for or what you're getting, shall I say. But it's one that I was really happy to get, and I have Appetite for Destruction. I had the standard cross version, but it's the rape scene version is what I always wanted to get. I've always wanted, not necessarily for listening to it, but it's mainly for the artwork. It's a great art. It's the artwork that's actually on the cover is where they got the title of the album from. But this is an original U.S. pressing. The UK pressings are a lot harder to come by, and they're more money. But this was it was cool to have one. Absolutely.
Well, it's not very Me Too, but yeah.
No, it's not. Rape scene, yeah. Thanks, Ian. It's not.
Well,
it's not.
I was just saying what everyone's thinking, but it's because of what it was, and at the time, I guess,
absolutely. That's a fantastic album, obviously.
Right. I just have the standard cross cover version of mine.
Which I've got the anniversary edition that came out last year or the year before, also.
I picked up a used copy. I don't know what pressing it is, but it's an old pressing.
Yeah.
So I have to look at the Run Out Groove and see if I can determine what my version is. But my next one, I just got this not too long ago, but REM's Automatic for the People, and this is readily available. I think I ordered this off Amazon, but it's readily available. I've seen it in Dearborn Music. This was more like once I got it and put it on, it was like, oh yeah, like, because this is probably my favorite REM album.
It's a fantastic album. It's
beginning to end, this album is so fucking good. And I think it really was like, I listened to it twice, just back to back, just because it was, so this is definitely a standout record for me. This is a repressing, obviously, 2017.
Yeah.
Repressing.
I think Automatic for the People, it's one of those albums that a lot of people don't think of very often, but
Right.
it's an album that you put it on and you're like, God, I've forgotten how good this album really is.
It's really how it is. Yeah. And it was when like I said, I when I ordered that, I ordered it with a bunch of other albums and they all came together. And that was the first one I put on. And like I said, I listened to it back to back without even going to the other ones yet. You know, it's like, I want to listen to this. So yeah.
Cool. The next one I've got, it's definitely one of my all-time favorite albums, and I think it's probably the best, in my opinion. It's one of the best albums released since American Idiot, which was what, 2004. So when 2004 was American Idiot. So I think it's one of the best albums released in that since that time period. But it's The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. And this is a really interesting album cover. This was actually designed by the lead singer of the band. So the CD is just it's like a skull. It's this guy right here is in small print is what the album cover typically is. So it's it's kind of cool. It's definitely a fantastic album.
Elaborate cover.
Yeah. And it's actually you can't see it because I have my record on the back of it, but the cover actually goes all the way around it. The artwork does.
Okay.
Fantastic album. But yeah, that's repressing, obviously, just from a couple of years ago.
Right. My next one's a twofer. I'm cheating a little bit.
Of course.
Alice Cooper, Dirty Diamonds, and Alice Cooper, Eyes of Alice Cooper. These are two latter day albums, 2003 and 2006, I think. Both repressings, obviously. But for the longest time, I didn't have any hope of ever getting these two albums.
Yeah, they're both record store day releases, weren't they?
No, Dirty Diamonds was and there's actually it was re-released on black vinyl, but mine is Blood Splatter. I'll show it to you here.
Oh, that's right. That's
the record store day exclusive.
Yeah, because they end up releasing that again after the fact, after Black Friday, but that was on black vinyl and not the Blood Splatter.
Right, exactly. Eyes of Alice Cooper was released, like mass released or whatever, but it was not. It just wasn't easy to get. I couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
And Discogs had it more pricey than I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So when I ordered it, it's brand new. I was not used. Just trying to see here if it's the only date that's on it is 2003. So this may have been an original pressing.
Okay.
Made in Germany. So I don't know what that means anything. But like I said, they were just special albums to me because I wasn't sure 100% I was ever going to find these albums.
Yeah. Yeah. The next one I've got, it's probably one. It's not probably. It is one of my all-time favorite albums. And if you don't know me, I'm a big punk fan. Even, I mean, I was a fan of like old punk, late '70s punk. But I like the kind of new wave punk from like, I guess you'd call it pop punk. From Green Day through the early to mid '90s, all the way through like early 2000s. I think was like a great period. You had bands like Green Day, Rancid, Blink-182, and it's a Blink-182 album. It's their self-titled album from I think it was 2003. Like overall, over the years, this is definitely one of my favorite albums. Just fantastic beginning and end. And this was I bought this originally on black vinyl, and there was a pink vinyl release roughly around the same time. And at the time, I wasn't really into buying. I really didn't care about colored vinyl or anything like that. And it was I want to say it was like I could have bought it for $5 more than I paid for the black vinyl. And then over time, I was like looking back on it, I got into collecting a little bit more. I think I've got 3 or 4 different versions of this album, a different colored vinyl, and I wanted that pink vinyl. So I had ordered it online, and I believe I had ordered it through SRC Vinyl. And so if you don't know SRC Vinyl, they've got a lot of exclusive stuff that you can order through their website. But to say their customer service is a complete garbage dumpster fire, doesn't really give it the service it deserves. I mean, their customer service is terrible. It's some of the worst customer service I've ever dealt with any company, right? So after getting nowhere with why I wasn't being shipped my record that they said was in stock, and then they told me it was back ordered even though I said it was in stock. I had ordered it, and then I had ordered it at the same time I had pre-ordered another album, but they said that since I didn't order them separately, that I ordered them together, they couldn't ship this album, even though it said it was in stock, until my pre-order came in. But the pre-order was delayed by a month and a half, so it was just a big pain. It was a big round and round I went with them for several months. Finally, I told them to cancel my whole fucking order, and I ended up finding a guy. I found this on Discogs for, I think, I want to say it was like $5 or $7 cheaper than what I was going to get it from SRC. It's pink vinyl, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It's just a different look to it, I think.
Yeah.
The
kind of works black. It works with the kind of the color.
Yeah, that's
palette of the cover.
Yeah, you can see it a little better. Yeah, it's got both stickers. It's a double LP, so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great album. Don't deal with SRC vinyl. Speaking of them,
absolutely have to.
Yeah, speaking of them real quick, I have another colored, because I bought all the Blink-182 albums on colored vinyl, and I still need. I had one album left. I needed to get Enema of the State. Enema of the State. It was released on blue vinyl to match the cover, right? And it was exclusive through SRC vinyl, so I pre-ordered it in October because it was supposed to be released in December. So I pre-ordered in October. Come the December release date, I go online and oops, now it says February. So February, when it's supposed to come out, on the release date, it goes from pre-order to back order. And now I've been contacting them for over 4 months, to find out anything about this. And like I said, I've gotten absolutely nowhere on that also.
You still haven't gotten it?
I still haven't gotten it, even though I pre-ordered it 8 months ago.
Wow. That sucks.
Yeah. Good times.
Right. I guess it's just the fact that they have exclusives that's probably kept them going.
Yeah, probably.
This one we've actually talked about on the Vinyl Den before, but Thick as a Brick 2, Jethro Tull. Yeah. Just because the only way you can get this album is to buy the box set of Thick as a Brick with, the original Thick as a Brick and this, which is weird. I always thought they would eventually release this individually, but they didn't. And,
no.
So this is a high collectible for me, just in my own personal collection.
Yeah.
And for a latter day Ian Anderson / Jethro Tull album, it's actually really quite good. It's actually even one you might like some of it, I think, being a latter day Tull album. So yeah, Thick as a Brick 2.
And actually, on talking about that album, so when you bought that, you had already had the remastered version of Thick as a Brick 1.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I got lucky enough to get Ian's copy of that when he bought the box set. So
because I didn't need it. I didn't need two versions of the Steve Wilson remix when I already have the original. I have the two other versions of it as it is. I've got the Reprise version and the Chrysalis version already. Yeah. So it's one of the few that I have multiple copies of as is.
Yeah. So my next one, it was actually a surprise gift to me. It's an album that was on my Holy Grail. We did a Holy Grail episode on our podcast, the Life in Journal podcast, and I went into pretty great detail about this album. And my wife found it on Discogs. She created her own Discogs account just so she could go secretly buy this album for me. She ended up ordering it from Japan and paid way more than I would ever pay for this album. But it's another one of my all-time favorite albums. It's in that same 90s punk style. It's Slowly Go the Way of the Buffalo by MXPX. And it was this was the album that their album before was called Life in General. They had Chick Magnet was somewhat of a hit off of. And this album, I think, built upon the success of that album. I think this was their first major label. So their major label debut, actually. Okay. But fantastic album. My wife, I was really surprised when she bought this for me. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is my last one. Now this has been released on vinyl, but this is the 25th anniversary version of it. Throwing Copper by Live. The 25th anniversary version is a double record, obviously, because it's 180 gram. And it comes with 3 extra songs.
Yeah.
That were originally unreleased, but released with their 25th anniversary package, which doesn't happen very often. Usually when they do vinyl reissues, even if they're anniversaries, they usually don't put unreleased stuff on it.
No.
You know, it's
not
usually
normally.
the standard. I mean, they'll double it up. They'll do a double album of it and spread it out to make it sound better. But generally speaking, they don't usually throw extra tracks on it. So this actually has the 3 extra tracks on it. And I mean, any kid growing up in the 90s, any teenager especially growing up in the 90s, this is like, you know, a standard album you're going to have. And I really like the band live. So, the album cover is fantastic. It's I can't really see it, but I mean, it's just it's such a unique album cover too. And it even says 25th anniversary here in the corner.
Yeah.
So,
actually, I just picked that one up not too long ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
my last one, it's one that I think, I'm sure Ian will argue. I know Ian would argue this. I think it's the greatest album ever recorded.
I already know where you're going with this. Yeah.
You already know. And if you watched the last episode of the Vinyl Den, you know what I'm talking about because I talked about it on there.
If you've listened to any show that we've done music on, you've probably heard about this album. And if you've existed in the world for the last 50 years, you've heard of this album before.
Yeah, it's I think currently it's now the 4th highest selling album of all time. And I've got multiple copies of it. I've got 30th anniversary copies. I've got 40th anniversary copies. I got remastered copies of it. But it's the original U.S. pressing that I have of Dark Side of the Moon, and it's for an album that was released in 1973. I mean, this is probably the cleanest copy I've ever seen of this album, and it's kind of hard to see in the package I have because I've got it in a protective sleeve. Because a lot of these, when you see them, the used copy, especially the older pressings of them, because it's a black album and it gets slid in and out a lot, you got the wear ring around the outside of this. Only has very minor wear at the very top of it. Outside of that, I mean, the vinyl looks like it's never been played before. Just a beautiful copy. It was. Originally, I was looking for a UK pressing. The UK pressings are normally a lot more than I'd really want to pay for that album, especially since I already have a couple of versions of it. But I got the US pressing for a really good price. But it's an album that I probably listened to way more than I'm sure I listened to it way more than any other albums. But it was funny last year when I bought several copies of this album, and I know I said on the last episode, I'll say on this one too, that there's a couple of times my wife would text me or call me when I was at work, and she'd say, "Hey, you got another one of those albums with the triangle on the front of it?" That's the only way my wife knows what it is. But I torture my wife and kids with that album quite often. But
yeah, there's worse things to torture them with.
Is there? I don't know. I don't know if she agrees with you.
You could torture her with any Jethro Tull album. That would be worse for her.
That's true. My wife absolutely hates Jethro Tull.
Yeah. So, which is weird because I still consider her a friend.
But that's all I have. That's our top 5 albums that we have.
Yeah. I'm honestly, if we did this show tomorrow, it might be 5 different ones from me. You never know, but these are just the ones that stood out when I was prepping for this. And
I don't know if mine would change a whole lot, but I mean, I guess they probably would if I bought more stuff. But
honestly,
which reminds me, I need to buy more records.
Yeah, we all do. But for me, it's like it kind of depends on what I'm listening to as well. Because like, if I threw on Ben Folds' Song for Silverman, that could be on the list. If I just listened to that yesterday, I'd be like, oh, well, this is because it stands out to me that moment. But there's records I have that it would never end up on the list. And then there's records. I have a lot of records that if I had to narrow it down to 5, I could vary that 50 times.
That makes sense. But that's all I got. Go ahead and if you give us a thumbs up, Right. So hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the little bell wherever it's at on the screen. One of these sides.
Leave comments in the bottom too. Tell us what you think.
Yeah. Yes. Let us know what your favorite albums are that you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can email us at, if you don't want to leave us a comment, you can always email us at thevinyldenchannel@gmail.com. That's all I got, Ian.
I'm good.
All right. Well, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Keep on spinning. Peace.